Welcome to the first episode in a series devoted to understanding school finance. There are so many challenges facing schools today that years ago we would never have considered. The last few years, with the pandemic, it presented unique challenges for school systems throughout the United States. Everyone's budget was impacted on one level or another. With the pandemic, families also began to move. The impact of those moves is that many schools in the United States have closed, both public and private schools. In order to understand school finance, it's critical that you realize that what goes on in the local community impacts what goes on in the school building. In a public school, the principal does not control all of the financial operations. Does the principal have input? Absolutely. But decisions are made by school boards, by county governments, by state governments. All of those decisions impact what goes on in our schools. In private schools, the funding comes from tuition and generous donors. If you've been reading the newspapers or watching any kind of TV over the last 3 or 4 years, you've heard about Catholic schools closing, especially in the inner city. Why? Because the populations are moving away. So the enrollment is down. Enrollment impacts the amount of money that can be spent. Catholic schools and private schools are reliant upon tuition to pay the bills. If you cannot pay the bills, you cannot stay in business. We can talk about the theoretical advantages of quality education, but the hard reality is, without a strong financial foundation, whether that's a public school or a private school or a parochial school, without that strong foundation, it cannot survive. It cannot thrive. The impact of closing schools is not just to the students, but to the larger community. What we need to look at is how we can build a strong foundation to ensure that the quality of education is equal for every student in every location. We are reliant upon the state and local governments for the vast majority of the funding in our schools. The federal government only provides about 7.8% of the total expenditure on public education in the United States. In terms of private schools, funding is derived from tuition. The state and local governments allocate funds to local school boards. That money then is distributed to all the different schools, elementary, pre-K, secondary. That means that we have to pay the light bills as well as teachers' salary and benefits, as well as the support staff, as well as the cafeteria staff, as well as the maintenance and janitorial staffs. And we also must maintain buildings that can house the creativity that we find in our students. That's what we'll be discussing and showing you ways to ensure that the foundation in our schools is stable and sustainable. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.